Right to buy discounts. That's right. Everybody's talking about the right to buy discounts, but I wanted to explain the whole process to you. So firstly, importantly, why is everybody so up in the air about right to buy at the moment? That's because the budget came out the other day and it announced that the budget, that's what it did. It announced that the deposit was going to be reduced. So currently, if you're in London, it is 136,400. That's right. If you're outside of London, it's 102,400. Now, basically, why is the discount important? So the way it works is if you had a property that is worth, say for example, 200,000 and you are in London and you get the maximum discount, the 136,400, that means that you would only have to have a mortgage of less than 64,000. And if you were in outside of London where it's 102,400, then the same scenario, a £200,000 property, you would only be paying 98. So what happens when you're actually looking at the right to buy? Now, firstly, in order to have the right to buy, you need to be a council tenant for 3 years. You need to not own any other properties. This needs to be your main residence. That's the first thing. Secondly, what you could do is once you know that you're eligible, you can apply. Now it is called an RTB1 form. Now the RTB1 form is the right to buy form. You can either get it on the main website or on your council website, or you can go to the council, or you can request they email it to you. There's so many different ways, but it all has to be filled out before the 21st of November, so by the 20th of November, because on the 21st the discount is no longer 136,400 or even 102,400. It ranges between 38,000 and 16,000. So depending on what area you are and what area you are going to be, it could have a dramatic difference. Now, what happens is once you've filled out the RTB1 form, then you have to wait to hear back from them. You'll hear back from them, and some are telling me that they have to fill out another form in more detail. Some people are saying they just get a letter requesting access for evaluation. And then after the valuation is done, so some will fill out a form and then do the valuation. Some people will go straight to the valuation, and I think different councils are differing. And then once you get your property valued, then you get what is called a section 125, which is also called an offer notice. Now on that, I think it appears on the second page, but again, each council will have it laid out differently. It will say market value. So in the example I used earlier, the market value is 200,000, and then it will say the maximum discount. Now obviously the discount is prorated. If you've only been there 3 years and not the maximum amount of time, then you won't get the full discount, you'll get part of the discount. So you may be losing out on 136,400, or you may not. It may be less than that because you've lived there less than the maximum time. Okay, hope that makes sense. Then it will say on the offer notice, it will say market value 200, discount, as we've gone over quite a few times, what that would be, what they're willing to give you, and then what the property price is. Now when you're doing a mortgage, it really does depend on the lender. So I've got access to a whole host of lenders, and some lenders are giving 100% of the discount, some aren't. I'll give you a straightforward example where they're giving 100% of the discount. So say they're giving 100% of the discount and you're getting the maximum discount. So then you'll have the 200, then you'll have the 136,400, and then you'll have, is that 63,600, I think, if my maths are correct, and that's what the mortgage will be. So when you put the mortgage application in, or your mortgage advisor puts the mortgage application in, that's how they'll do it. They'll say property price 200,000, deposit the 136,400 or whatever the discount you're allowed, and then the loan balance is that final balance. So on your form it says purchase price, but when you're applying for a mortgage it says loan amount. Hope that makes sense. Then once you apply for your mortgage, and the thing is, when you're applying for your mortgage, there's certain things that you need to consider. You need to consider, are you employed? Are you self-employed? Are you on benefits? Because all of those, depending on the lender, can be included into the mortgage. Now, once all of that has been done and you've got the mortgage, then the conveyancer gets involved, and the conveyancer is the property solicitor, and just like all other purchases, they will do all the searches that are necessary, and they will sort out exchange, which is when you exchange the contracts, because obviously you're buying it from the council and they're selling it to you, and then completion, which normally is when you get the keys, but that's when the council gets the rest of the money. So the money that you're lending, borrowing from the bank, they will receive it then. You can questions that I've been asked. So firstly, you can put money on top. So yes, you can use your discount as the deposit, but you can also, if you've got savings or you're getting gifted money or whatever the situation is, obviously check with your mortgage advisor or me or whoever, you can add to it. So in that scenario, you know, if you've got 10,000 worth of savings, instead of having a 63k mortgage, you'd have a 53k mortgage because you'd put some money towards it. Now, I did have a conversation with a client earlier, and they do have it would be all their savings they'd be paying over. So I said to them, as long as they can afford, in this example, the 63k mortgage, get the 63k mortgage, and don't put all your money, all your savings in, because you might need it for something. You might need it for, and that's another thing. If we find the right lender, they will also lend not only the 63, but they'd lend, say, a fifth of the discount. One of the lenders was saying. So, you know, in this example, the fifth of 36 would be 13 would be 10%, so it'd be about 6,500. So they'd lend an extra 6,500 in order to for home improvements. So there is that. They don't ever let you lend it, do borrowing against debt or things like that, but they will let you do it for home improvements, because a lot of people want to do their council places up once they own it, basically. So that is one of the questions. Benefits, as I've mentioned already, can be used for affordability. What are other questions? Right, so all the lenders I've spoken to have said that the section 125 has to match the mortgage. So when you're applying for the right to buy, whoever you apply with, whoever is going to be buying it with you, has to also be in the mortgage. So say two people live in a property, one wants to buy it, one doesn't. The one that wants to buy it applies and does the RTB1 form, and then they are the one on the mortgage. If you're in another situation and you've got someone who is, that is the way it works. So it isn't as straightforward as whoever's on the tenancy has to be. So this was it back in the day. Whoever was on the tenancy had to be on the RTB form, had to be on the mortgage. That's no longer the case. If they're on the tenancy but they don't want to buy it, as long as they don't apply, then they won't be on the offer letter, then they won't need to be on the mortgage. I hope that makes sense. Now, if you've got any questions or anything that you'd like to ask me, please just WhatsApp me or put in a comments at the bottom of this, and we will arrange to talk to each other somehow, somewhere. I will arrange a link with my Calendly link, and you can book an appointment to see me. That's probably the best bet. But if you've got any other questions or anything else is concerning you, I mean, in my personal opinion, I would say just apply, because it doesn't cost you anything to apply. You'll find out a lot of the information. So how much discount you can get, how much your property is worth, how much mortgage will you have to get, and then we can figure out if you can afford it and if you can't. And if you can't, then you just carry on living there just like you always have. So I would apply, but decide what works for you. I hope this has been an informative video. Take care. Bye bye.